Alright, today in this video I'm going to be talking to you about myself and give you a little bit about my background and how I started doing my own YouTube channels and just my IT experience overall. So, I am CCNP Seth, and the reason why I chose CCNP Seth as my YouTube name is when I first got my CCNP in routing and switching. I was so proud of it, and I was like, you know what, I'm CCNP Seth. And just around the time of July 15th is actually probably when I started doing my first video. I think I did it November of 2015, but yeah, I was really proud of it. And I've actually been in the IT world since 2005-ish. And I'm actually a system administrator, system engineer, as that's how I started out. So I started learning Microsoft Windows Server 2003, started learning Active Directory, Exchange, and then I moved on to do desktop support, and then even run enterprise application services like Microsoft SharePoint, things like that. So I'll take you through my journey on when I started and what certifications I got along the way. So if we start off, let's start off at, when was my first certification? I believe I got my first certification. It was actually Sec Plus. Sec Plus back in the day, and it was the 101 version. That was a long time ago. I think that was in 09. And now they're on, it's 2017, so now they're on 401. So I took Sec Plus a long time ago, and it definitely has changed since then. I took a break after I got that, and I end up getting, what was my next one? I got Comptia's A+, because since I was working on the server side, I wanted to know more of the desktop support and the hands-on stuff. I never really built my own computer. I still haven't built my own computer, but I had to learn the inner workings on how everything worked and how they plugged in and everything like that. So I got A+ back in 2014, and then right after that, a few months after, same thing in 2014, I got Comptia's Server Plus certification. And since I was already in the server world for almost 9 years, I was like, you know what, let me get a certification in that to solidify that I know basic server knowledge stuff and things like that. So I ended up getting that in 2014. Then I moved and got a job instructing networking, and it turns out I loved it, and I just took off from there. So after I got my Server Plus, and I think this was in April of 2014, I got my CCNP, my first Cisco certification, and I took the ICND1 and ICND2 route, and I got it in, so I'll say CCNP, and I got it in November of 2014. And since I was teaching it, I just studied really hard, and I passed it, and I was like, sweet, I love this stuff, now let's move on. So after I got my CCNP, I was like, well, if I got CCNP, I have to get CCNA. So that was November of 2014. Then in April of 2015, I got my CCNA. I took ICND2. A couple of my coworkers, we went to a CCNA boot camp. We were ready to test on our own, but we wanted to see how other companies were teaching their material, because we already taught this material, but we just wanted to see how other people did it. So we got our company to pay for us to go to this boot camp. We flew on a plane, we went to Washington, and we got our CCNA. And since I was already prepared to take CCNA at that time, I was actually studying for CCNP Switch. So I got my CCNA at the beginning of April, and then in that same month, later on that month, I started working on my CCNP, and I took my switch test. CCNP switch. switch. What is happening? Yeah. So later on in April, I got my switch test done. So I was studying real hard for that. Then June of 2015 is when I took my T-shoot for my CCNP. Now, most people actually take their switch test and then their route and then T-shoot. But I've already had this natural ability, I guess, to analyze things and troubleshoot a problem. As long as you understand how things work, you don't need to go into the specifics of the objectives in route to take the T-shoot exam. It's just as long as you know how the configs work and what has to match for it to for things to work, then T-shoot should be no problem with you. So I took T-shoot in June, and then the following month I took route. And that is when I got my full CCNP, and this is my cert in the back. So I got it in July 9th, and I got my full CCNP. Now, when you actually get your CCNP, well, first of all, you have to pass all 3 of these to get your full CCNP, so it actually takes a while. I took a more advanced track because I wanted to get it done, and I just studied, and I still continue to study. But I'm always working towards a certification. So after I got my CCNP, I actually took a break. I did not get a cert for a couple months. So I got my CCNP in July of 2015, not too long ago. Then in December of 2015, I took a different track from routing and switching, and I got my design, CCDA, which was one certification, and it took me to a different realm, and it took me on a journey to learn networking overall from a design perspective on how everything works. A little bit of voice, a little bit of service provider, a little bit of wireless, a little bit of routing and switching. So I highly suggest getting a design certification. Okay. After I got my CCDA in December, I actually, in January, the following month, I don't know why I put Janny, of 2016, I got my Ccna in Security. Ccna in Security. So I was like, all right, cool. Got that done, knocked it out, learned a little bit about firewalls. So Ccna Security, it's actually a very good cert. All these certs are good, and it just depends on what you want to specialize in. Then go take that specific route. Reason why I started dipping into other routes or other tracks, CCNA tracks and Cisco certifications, is I want to be that overall good networking guy where I could, I'll feel comfortable in all areas, but yet still specialize in some areas as well. So route switch, I want to specialize in that. I want to be an expert at it. That's what I'm working towards my IE. Then I'll slowly dip back over into other tracks, whether it be design expert or maybe even like service provider expert. So January of 2016, I got my CCNA Security, so that brings me up to 3 CCNAs and 1 professional cert. So then took a small break, and then I believe April of 2016, I got my CCDP, which was a design professional, so that's the NP level of design. So I got that done. And coincidentally, since I already had my CCNP, I just have to take one more test to get my DP since I already have my DA. So that's the normal route that people take, is they'll get their CCNP route switch, and then once 3 years comes around, they'll be like, oh man, I need to recertify or else I'll lose it. And then they're like, oh, I could get design. And then you get associate, that's 1 test, and then CCDP, it's 1 more test if you already have your CCNP and route switch. Okay? Then come April, I already got that done. Was it June or July? I think it was July. July of last year, I got my CCNA in data center. and that really kicked my butt. That was a new realm for me. Yes, I did work in the server world, but I never worked in the networking portion of the storage area network. So the data center, data center is the cloud. I'll just say that. And everywhere you go, any type of IT job that you want, there's going to be a data center there. And if you know how to work it, and especially if you have the certifications, they're going to pay big bucks for it, because everyone wants the cloud. Oh, the cloud this, cloud that. And cloud is the data center. So highly, highly recommend getting data center as well. So then that brings me to July. What am I at now? January of 2017. Have I gotten any new certs? I have not. I have not gotten any new certs. In December of last year, I took my CCIE written, and I failed. It was not as tough as I thought it was going to be, but also not as simple, if you know what I mean. I was really close. In my last video, I told you my score. I got a 773, which was not passing, but it's okay. It's all right. If you fall off the horse, get back on it at a different time. So, yeah. So that is me in a nutshell, and my certification route, or my certification path that I was taking. And study. That's be dedicated. Set time aside so you can really learn what's going on. Watch YouTube videos. If you could afford it, pay for a subscription to web training websites. Pay for a subscription for blog sites as well. I use networking lessons a lot. Sumnetting.net is a good one. They're getting better. I've watched them grow since 2014. INE.com, CBTnuggets.com. Those are all good websites to learn from. And there's a lot more others out there as well. Kevin Wallace, I believe, has his own website training as well. So just wanted to give you a little insight on who I am. Some of you guys watch my videos a lot, but I want to give you my background because I actually never introduced myself properly. If you have any questions about taking certs, taking tests, clearly I've taken a lot of them in the past year or two. So go ahead and leave a comment below, subscribe, like this video, but that's it. So I hope this was informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.